Yo, what up guys? Welcome back. It's patch 12.19 rundown. It's a big patch. We're just going to get into it. As always, we're using Mortdog's video because he posts these a couple days before the actual notes go live. If you want to check out Mortdog's channel, just go over to his channel. All right, so starting out, here is Astral. So Astral is just getting a little bit of a change. The gold value of your Astral orbs is not changing at all. It's just making it more difficult to upgrade your units on stage 2 naturally because Astral is just very strong. The Astral opener is very strong within mage meta. So yeah, I think it's a great change. Gold value is still the same. They want to just be more of an econ trait, but it's actually kind of like an econ trait, and it gives you board strength. Gives you a little bit more board strength too easily. So yeah, nice change there. Scalescorn is getting a huge rework for better or for worse. So Scalescorn can now be played with dragons. I know. The trait remains active even with dragons in play. So to compensate for that, it is getting a nerf, just a damage nerf down here a little bit, and also a damage nerf at 6 if you somehow get 6 in. 6 is very strong. So this is like a good change for the game overall because it makes comp flexibility a lot better, which overall is better for the game. But it does suck that kind of the lore for this trait doesn't make sense anymore. I like when kind of like the thematic and the real game connect. I think that gives life to the game in a lot of ways. But you know, it is better for the overall gameplay that is more flexible. So what do you guys think? I'm not really sure. All right, Mirage is getting a buff to say 1% buff on electric HP damage. This is actually a sizable buff because this does proc several times. So if you're actually running the reroll build that runs this, which is the reroll Leona with Yone side carry, this does actually proc quite a bit, especially if you get emblems, you start running the vertical. So this is actually a pretty sizable damage. So if you guys like running that Leona reroll build, give it a try whenever you see Electric Mirage next time. And something to think about. When I was watching their video, Mortdog talked about it. You know, think about playing this for tempo as well. This could be a big spike. If you hit a Leona 2 and a Yone really early, could be a really big spike. So think about playing this for tempo whenever you see this Mirage and you get a Leona opener. Can be very strong for sure. All right, Dragonmancer is getting a buff. And before you guys freak out, Nunu is getting reworked. So Nunu Dragonmancer, I'm almost certain is going to be dead after this patch. After this patch goes live, I'm pretty sure it's completely dead with the change they're making. I can't imagine Nunu carry being a real build, but maybe just the stats are really strong on him. I'm not sure. But they're doing this buff because it's actually hard to play any of the real Dragonmancers as carries, as well as getting that spike in mid game doesn't feel quite as strong. Like Dragonmancer is really a comp that should spike on stage 3, stage 4. And it does sometimes when you're really high rolling it or you get it going. But if you're actually just running regular Dragonmancers and try to spike on it, it just doesn't feel as strong. So they're getting a little buff to compensate for that. And then they're nerfing Nunu. So the obvious abuse case of the emblem is getting taken away. But yeah, if you guys like playing Dragonmancer, give it a try next patch. And they're buffing Volibear as well, and we'll get into that when we get to there. So I'm pretty excited about that actually, to play actual Dragonmancers. Okay, Dragon is getting a change. So the 5 Dragon and 6 Dragon is getting changed. So 6 Dragon is new. 6 Dragon is being added. But let's talk about 5 Dragon real quick. So 5 Dragon was just 10% attack speed. It's being changed to 40 HP per second regen. That is a lot stronger, I think. I think that's a lot stronger. The HP regen here. And again, a lot of people looked at this number and thought it was silly, like 10% attack speed for playing the 5 Dragon. The devs didn't want you to play 5 Dragons. They wanted, if you play 5 Dragons, they wanted it to make a lot of sense. But this is a pretty big buff because basically nobody runs 5 Dragons. So this is a pretty big buff. So now maybe you run 5 Dragons. Maybe it's a little bit more appealing. I'm not too sure. But maybe give it a try. But 6 Dragons is going to be a win condition. This is designed as a complete win condition. Like you get it. It's like you have an additional prismatic augment. It's supposed to be that strong. So your Dragons ascend basically means they start the fight with loads of stats. So start it with extra offensive, defensive, regen, all that good stuff. So yeah, so if you are able to fit in 6 Dragons at any point, which is extremely difficult to achieve, it is supposed to be just kind of like a win con. So that is what that is. Okay, Champions Large 2 cost. So Gnar is getting a pretty nice buff. Gnar is really a unit you never play around. He's just a synergy bot for Jade and Shapeshifter. I don't think this changes that. But if you guys want to try some reroll Gnar builds, maybe give it a try. But I don't think this changes much. Just a nice quality of life change to nice quality of life buff to the Jade tree, because Jade tree, even though it should even in this meta where it should be pretty good, Jade into AP meta should be pretty decently good with natural hit mystics, that sort of thing. It still isn't that good. So I do think this is a nice little buff here for Gnar. Hey, Zyra, God bless. Zyra is getting nerfed, so sucks the devs didn't catch this in the first go around, but you know, it happens. But this pretty big nerf right here, I just realized that was not in 1080. I was like, why is this so hard to read? Okay, anyways. All right, so Zyra is getting a little bit of attack speed nerf. Definitely going to hurt her AD build. Definitely going to hurt her ability to cast. She will not be getting whisper stacks quite as much. And then the base spell damage nerf, which is definitely what she needed. Definitely this is what I was asking for. Down by 100 on all these, and this will change the scaling as well when she gets the AP on top of that with whispers. So definitely a great buff. Zyra should not be this unit that just one-shots your backline. It should just be this unit that CCs your backline and chunks them just a little bit. I think that's Zyra's best role, but right now she is one-shotting or she chunks them for 80% of their HP. Essentially, no matter what comp she's in, if she's in the mage version, she's in the whisper version, she just chunks your backline like crazy or one-shots them. Cool. And this bug fix is a big nerf to the AD Zyra, which they definitely don't want to be a thing. Zyra no longer interrupts her cast animation at high attack speeds. Zyra will now pause to finish her cast animation before resuming attacking. So if you were stacking your Rage Blades on her, or you ran like Rage Blade, Rune Ends, once you get to a certain point in the fight, she would just not even, like, she would just auto attack through her casting animation, which made that even stronger. So yeah, definitely great nerf to Zyra. Very happy to see that. Okay, and this is the new change that I was talking about earlier. So 3 costs, no longer converts his damage to true damage. If he has a higher HP than his target, will not be dealing true damage anymore. So Nunu would not have the ability to one-shot a tank anymore, basically. So if you have like a 2-star Terra fully yoked on items with a I don't know, a dequal or a stone plate or whatever, Nunu would not kill that thing anymore, ever. Almost ever. I mean, he would have to have like 10k HP. He will not, because he will not be doing true damage. To compensate for that, Nunu will be dealing more damage, so 20% up to 40% bonus damage. But don't be tricked by this. This is a huge nerf, and I can't imagine Nunu carry is going to be a thing anymore. You know, they're doing this so that they can buff Dragomancer. That is the main goal, so they can make Dragomancer a real comp without it needing like Nunu or Ao Shen. They want it to make its own independent comp, which I'm all in favor for. But what does suck about this as just side notes is this is a big nerf to Deja comps whenever you have the option to run Nunu as off carry. Like you have the angle to hit Nunu 3, get some good items for him. So in the angles when you play Deja, when you need an off carry and you look to get it from Nunu, it'll be a lot harder to achieve that thing. So, but the other thing to think about is they did nerf buff electric, so maybe there'll be some Nunu electric builds out there. We'll see. All right, Seraphine is getting nerfed. This is obviously as a response to the Seraphine comp, the water gun comp, or the pool party comp, whatever you want to call it. So good nerf here. So she will be casting less often. Her shield will not last as long. And then this is the part that's the best part of the nerf, is the spell damage, the on-hit damage from 100 to 70. So that is actually a huge damage cut, especially with, you know, Pantheon and Graves, who are the best users of that, who just apply it constantly. Huge nerf. If you high roll the Seraphine comp, I think you can definitely still play the Seraphine comp. But this will be, if any of you guys are out there hard forcing, probably consider not hard forcing this comp quite as much. But you know, it still was probably pretty good for top 4ing, because you know, you top 4 with just the 2-star version. But definitely I'm really happy about this damage nerf down here. It seemed crazy. It went from 35 to 100. Now it's just doubling at 3 stars. I think is a lot more healthy spot. So good to see that on the Seraphine build. Okay, Rakan is getting nerfed a little bit. Just make him not cast as often. He'll still cast at the same time going into the beginning of the fight, but he will just cast less often. I'm pretty down for that. Rakan is one of the best units in this set, so cool. Definitely needed a nerf. And in an AP meta, he just fits in every comp. He's a mystic. He fits with Seraphine, which is a good comp, you know. So yeah. All right, Zyra is getting buffed. So she got buffed last patch, but it wasn't quite enough to push her over into being meta or anything like that. So she's getting a nice mana buff, so she'll cast a little bit more often, deal a little bit more damage on her spell. I believe this is on the AP part of it. They're just trying to give a little bit of love to Zyra. I'm happy they're just like doing these sprinkling little buffs, because I'm scared of the day that she actually becomes really strong. I think Zyra is really good. She's really inconsistent. So, but I'm happy to see that. I will be giving Zyra some tries whenever I get the Triforce Augment and try out the Triforce Zyra build. Anyways, Hecarim, great nerf right here. Great catch by the devs here. Hecarim's mana is going down from 60 to 30, and then 105 his max to 90. So he will have the ability to cast more often, to get his second cast off more often. But the big nerf that we're hitting here is his initial cast, because right now, guys, you've seen it. Protector's Vow is a broken item. It is a broken item on its own. It's a really good item. And if you put on Hecarim, he only has to auto attack one time. and it's a good item on Hecarim. So he just auto attacks one time and then he gets a cast, and then also it's a good item, which all makes Hecarim very broken, because Hecarim will cast at the very beginning of the fight. You know, if you're playing Zyra comp, Hecarim casts at the beginning of the fight, Jayce casts right after that, layers CC on top of that. By the time Jayce is done with his stuff, Shyvana has been flying around for a while, she comes down, and basically your team doesn't get to play the game. So they're doing a lot of these nerfs to like Hecarim and Jayce. Jayce is getting a rework actually, so they can finally balance that Zyra comp, because Zyra comp is impossible to balance because there's just so much CC you can layer on top of each other. So they had to hit it in some way, and this is where they're hitting it. Great nerf right here. So if you build Protector's Vow on Hecarim, he will have to auto attack twice. If you build a blue buff on Hecarim, he will have to auto attack once. So these mana style builds are going to be nerfed quite a bit on Hecarim, which is a great thing, because it seems very silly that the best items to build on Hecarim are mana items, and he's a tank. Very strange. So yeah, hugely in favor of this. Going to be a great change. Huge nerf to Zyra comp. I need you guys to understand this is a huge nerf to Zyra comp. All right, cool. Jayce. So his base armor and MR is getting nerfed by 25 because he is getting this big bonus here on his cast. So the net bonus is plus 20. See it. Anyways, but I don't know if those numbers are proper compensation, but let's read some more. So Jayce's transformation ability no longer does CC. That's what you guys need to know. No longer does CC. Instead, he gains a little bit of extra durability. So that's 20 armor and 20 magic resist. And then to compensate for that, as well as giving him additional damage. So this is going to make him, I think this is what they need to do to Jayce. You know, the more I thought about it, the more I think this is what they have to do to Jayce, because it is a problem that Jayce fits into literally every single comp. I said this at the beginning of the set whenever this unit was unveiled. I call this unit a god unit. Every set I usually pick 1 or 2 units to be a god unit, and this unit was my god unit. I don't know if I had any more, but this one for sure was, because he just does everything. It gives your team crazy stats. It gives your team CC. It gives your team extra damage. It gives your team more tankiness. So he kind of just does too much. And when a unit does too much, they fit into every single composition. The main goal of this nerf is to make the Zyra composition less face roll, but also this opens the door for them to give more damage to Jayce. So maybe he can have his own standalone compositions. A comp that I will definitely be trying on the new patch, especially with Shoyu getting buffed and the Jade line getting buffed more, is Jade Shoyu duo carry, Shoyu Jayce duo carry in the Jade build. It's a build I was playing on PvE, but it just hasn't been able to be playable because Jade is just not very good. Positioning of Jade is not good. And then Jayce has been more of a CC style unit. So I will definitely be trying more Jayce carry style builds in those builds where it makes sense. Like I think the Jade, the Shoyu Jayce Pantheon build that I was playing on PvE might be pretty good next patch. So Jayce's role is just kind of switching to be a less of a plug and play unit and more of a unit with his own like comp identity. But we'll see how that goes. We'll see where this takes us. I think it'll be a while before we start to figure out how to play where Jayce's spot is going to be in the actual set. And I think the devs are going to have to probably touch, I don't know better words to say, touch him a little bit more to find a good spot for him, whatever. Anyways, all right, Nyla. So she has the shield stealing thing on her. It is no longer permanent. It is 4 second shield duration when she steals your shield thingy. Bug fix, Nyla stolen shields now properly stack. So this is aimed to be power neutral, but in certain matchups could be very strong. Certain matchups not going to be very strong, but aimed to be power neutral, mostly just to do a bug fix to match her tooltip. So you probably won't even notice. Okay, Champions Large, this is the Dragon. So Shoyu is getting a buff at 2-star. Spell AD is going up. And there's also another buff to Jade that we'll go into later. I definitely will be trying Shoyu more next patch. Basically right now you can play Shoyu, but I only ever play Shoyu if it's just like the game really pushes me into it and I just have a free angle to it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll just take a 3rd place. Why not? So maybe Shoyu will actually be a comp that you can 1st place with next patch. We will see. This is getting buffed. Jayce's damage getting buffed. Jayce a lot of times is in Shoyu comp. So we'll see. We'll see. All right. Tyrant Swain is getting buffed. So he's getting extra damage onto him. Right now, basically, you just don't buy Swain. There's a couple players on the server who will buy Swain, but guys, you just skip this unit. Even if you're playing Dark Fights, you just skip this unit. This unit sucks. So now they're actually giving him more damage. So maybe if you go the Archangel Morello plus 1 build, maybe he'll actually be able to do stuff in fights. So maybe give Swain a try next patch. This is a big buff at 2-star 20. This is per crow, and there's 8 crows. So you know, do the math there. It's a lot. So yeah, we'll see it. or maybe give it a try. I will probably not be the first one testing it, but if you're a big dark fight player, maybe give it a try. Could be good next patch. Okay, Siphon. Siphon definitely needs a buff. So 33% ability armor pin is going up a little bit. And this is especially important on the first cast, because if you're actually playing a whisper build, like a vertical whisper build, once you get late into the fight, you know, Siphon has so much AP that this armor pin like percentage doesn't really matter, because it'll be like 80%, you know, and then on top of the whisper proc and everything. But at the first cast, getting this buff right here is very nice to increase the chance that you actually get a one shot on your first cast. So that's pretty nice. And then also Siphon will be casting more frequently, so I think that's pretty good. Nice quality of life change, or quality of life buff for Siphon. Does this push Siphon into the meta? Probably not, but if you have a hard Siphon angle, maybe give it a try. Especially good compensation because Zyra got nerfed. You know, maybe some other things in the meta are going to move around, but I would think Siphon's not going to be that good next patch. But Siphon doesn't have a good matchup in the Shoyu. If Shoyu becomes meta, doesn't have a good matchup usually. And then Zyra, which is like the backline carry of Siphon's comp right now, is not nearly as good. So I don't think Siphon's gonna be a good next patch unless a bunch of things shift around in the meta. Anyways, all right, Gargoyle Stoneplate is getting buffed. This is the intended buff that was supposed to go through. It just didn't go through last patch. Rocket Propelled Fist is going down to 150 HP. Guys, still take this item. This item is still broken. This item could say you lose 150 HP, and I think it would still be good enough to take. This item is very good. Protector's Vow is getting nerfed. You know, I kind of wish they would have just nerfed the mana on this item. Maybe just taken away the 15 plus mana. Because even when I was watching them and watching the devs in their own rundown, they were talking about this. They were talking about what they want for this item is they want it to be, they like when they made this item, they intended it to be how all of us thought about it at first, which is you just put it on a unit to die and then it buffs the rest of your team. But it's just turned into an item that you put on to your best mana using tank, like Hecarim, like Silas in the mage comp, you know, like Shyvana. So I don't know why they don't just take away some of the mana instead and then have the item how it's intended. But you know, we'll see. Definitely the item needs to be nerfed in some way because it is a broken item. This item is very strong. But I was just more in favor of taking away the bonus 15 mana because it gives you 30 mana total. And so, but this is a way to nerf it. We'll see what it does to the item. I guess you build it less often now. Okay, Augment's large. Base camp is getting nerfed down a little bit. This Augment is really broken in scale scorns. So yeah, probably deserved. Battle Mage is getting buffed. This Augment is very difficult to take. I will be taking this more often because I actually like to take this as an early game Augment just for the armor. I don't even notice the AP sometimes, but the AP getting out on top of it's going to be nice. Nice for Jace if you're going to try to build a Jace comp with the extra damage he has now. We'll see. Okay, better together. Item granted. Protectors out. Now lock it at the Iron Solari. I'm definitely in favor of this change. I think better together should be an Augment you're really excited to get early game, and then only an Augment that you take late game if you already have like Lockets and Zeke's built and stuff like that. But essentially this Augment right now, you can take it anytime and you're happy to get it, because if you take a third Augment, you're like, oh sick, I get a Protector's Vow. Like it's fine, you get a Protector's Vow, it's chill. You know, you have no other ore items, it's fine. I got an extra Protector's Vow, we're being chilling. So I'm definitely in favor of this to make it more of an early game style Augment, or one that you take when you're already investing in the style build. So big in favor of that. Birthday present now additionally grants 1 gold each level. I think it's a nice little buff right there. This Augment does not feel super good at Prismatic, was so broken at gold, but at Prismatic, yeah, I'm down with this. Okay, CB is getting nerfed. Deserved on CB3 for sure. CB2 and CB3 are very strong. I never noticed the CB1 shield, but CB3 is broken, and they're basically just making CB3 like CB2. So if that tells you anything, that means CB2 is probably broken on the current patch. But CB3 has been so broken. It's been broken for so long. Finally. Okay, Future Sight is going from gold to silver. That is huge. I never take this Augment. 1, because I'm not cringe. And 2, because it's a gold Augment. I'm getting a Zephyr for gold Augment. Come on. At silver? Probably pretty good at silver. I'll actually be... You get to know who you're going to fight, and you get a Zephyr for a silver Augment. I'll probably be taking this shit. I will almost certainly be taking this if I get it offered. Okay, Pandora's Bench is going from gold to silver, and the gold is going down. Wow, this is really interesting. I will strongly consider taking this augment at silver tier. I will strongly consider. Basically right now, you only take this if you're like, you can take it and you can like reroll 2 costs or 3 costs. And then if you're really high roll, you can like reroll dragons with it. But that is like, you have to be in an insane spot to be able to do that, to be able to take that and have that plan. But essentially right now, you just take this and reroll like 2 costs because you can hit them really easily. But at silver tier, you might actually take this for tempo. Like you get 2 gold and you get to reroll your units every round. I'll be considering taking this just for tempo. We'll see. Okay, Sunfire board is getting buffed. Definitely deserved. And with this weak spot removal, we'll talk about it in a second. This definitely makes it actually a good augment. Like I feel like Sunfire board should be a good augment, but right now it feels like, oh, I don't have a Morello or a Sunfire. Okay, sick. I'll take Sunfire, or I'll take Sunfire board, you know? But this actually, I feel like it makes it actually strong at 20 seconds. Because now you can take, you know, you're playing like Lagoons. I think you're happy if you get offered Sunfire board early because you're like, oh, sick. I'm not going to build Morello, but I have Morello active. So you can actually build like damaged Soam if you have Lagoon instead of building like Morello bot Soam, you know? So you can have all this extra damage to your board. So I think boards where building healing introduction was super integral to the composition, I think it's a huge buff. So something like Lagoon, I can't think of another one off the top of my head where like healing introduction is super important on one of the carry style units. But I definitely think it's a big buff for Lagoons and any comp that where you run this. I mean, it's a huge buff for Sunfire board. I'll definitely be considering this augment more often. Okay, Tiamat, splash damage is getting buffed by 10%. Cool. So if you like running warriors, nice little buff there. Earth Scrap Bag 1 being removed. Oh, this is definitely good. I was looking at I was thinking about this as item grab bag, but Earth Scrap Bag being removed. I think this is awesome. I think this should have been removed like 2 sets ago. But I do think this is great. I think spatulas are way too easy to get, especially if you have a spatula opener. It's a spatula opener, then like you are guaranteed that 1 or 2 other players are going to have a fawn that game or a tactician's crown. It just because this augments in the game. I mean, there's a bunch of different ways you can get spatulas, so this definitely makes the games where you get a spatula opener feel way better because you know already these random ass guys aren't going to just have fawns because they get offered a gold augment that gives them a prismatic augment. Some bullshit. So I'm super happy this is removed. Also, just like when you randomly get a spatula from PvE and then you get offered gold augments, you're like, oh, sick! I'm gonna have a fawn. Like some bullshit. So I'm glad it's removed. Weak spot being removed. Yeah, weak spot is too strong. Weak spot invalidates Sunfire board. I mean, Sunfire board deals damage. Weak spot does not. But if you have weak spot, you don't have to build a healing introduction anymore, and it's a silver augment, and that is what a gold augment does. I mean, Sunfire board gives you a little bit extra damage, but you never take it for that. You take it for the healing introduction. The damage you get from healing introduction versus the actual direct damage from Sunfire is so much more than the direct damage. Like just the healing introduction is so much more. So definitely need to be removed. It was impossible to balance. Like there's only 2 ways to balance it. You make it more of an AD focused augment, but then it's a useless augment if you're running AP units. And so then it makes it not a flexible augment. It's only good when it's good. Or it's just this broken thing that gives you healing reduction. It's just like this augment had to be removed. Definitely agree with the change. Okay, trade small is getting buffed. So Jade is getting attack speed buffed a little bit here. So if you're going into the vertical, the attack speed get buffed. Another buff to show you. That's another buff to Gnar, because Gnar's attack speed got buffed. Buff to that Jayce build that I was talking about a little bit earlier. That's why I'm gonna try out that build a little bit. And I think maybe you guys should too try out some show you builds if it looks good, but we'll see. Okay, Rage Wing is getting a nerf at 6, it looks like. The Omnivamp, I don't think you guys will notice this at all. They're just trying to do some little tune downs on the Zyra composition, but again, I don't think you will notice this at all. Okay, Mage is getting nerfed on 5 and 7, it looks like. I'm surprised it didn't get nerfed by 5 on 3. I thought it'd get nerfed down to 75, but that's okay with me. Definitely 5 Mage is really broken, especially when it's Nomsy. Guys, if you like playing mages should still be good. I don't see any nerfs to Nomsy. I don't see any nerfs to Lux. I don't see any nerfs to... I mean, I just see a 5% damage nerf right here. That is 5% on both casts and all of your mages. That is something to think about. But, you know, if you like playing mages, I think mages will still be pretty good, guys. Okay, Swift Shot is getting buffed at the 5. Is this 5? Yeah, 5. Cool. Yeah, this comp is very hard to run and does not feel very strong. So I think that's good. Okay, Lee Sin. Okay, Lee Sin is getting a small nerf. This is because all of Dragonmancer is getting buffed, so I'm fine with that. Lee Sin is the only Dragonmancer that really works with the only actual Dragonmancer that works with Dragonmancer. Basically, when you run Dragonmancer, you always carry someone else, except for Lee Sin is the exception. And they buff Dragonmancer, so I'm down with this getting nerfed. That's fine with me. And then bug fix, Lee Sin's ability will now properly deal damage to enemies at the end of the knockback. Essentially, what was happening is sometimes, sometimes if the unit landed in front of like the backliner, it wouldn't deal damage, but if they went next to him, it would deal the damage. So just making it more consistent there. Okay, Zippy is getting buffed at 3 stars. If you guys like playing some Zippy reroll, maybe give it a try next patch. I do think Zippy is actually pretty decent. Cool. And Volibear is getting buffed. Volibear has just been struggling quite a bit. I think the most important number we want to look at is the 2-star, and 2-star spell damage is going up by 10, which spreads to, I don't even know how many targets he has anymore. They've changed it a bunch of times. The 3 targets he has a 2-star, or is it 4 at all of them now? I don't remember. But you just times that by how many his targets are. You know, 10 damage is a nice buff. It's actually 10 at all levels, or 10 at both of these ones, 10 at 2 and 3, the ones that matter, and then 5 at 1-star. Cool. Maybe give Volibear a try. I'm the worst Volibear player on server, so I can't tell you what those changes mean, how strong he's going to be. But let's look at this stuff. All right, Zyra is getting nerfed at 1-star. I think this is good. I think something that made Zyra really toxic this set is last set. You probably have heard people say it so much. Is last set you probably heard this. People say, "Well, you can't hard force Zyra because she's shit at 1-star. You can't hard force Zyra because she sucks until you hit the 2-star. So you have to be high roll, right? But this set, she felt really strong on 1-star as long as you just get her comp online, because her layering the CC and all that good stuff. So I don't know if she needs a nerf at 1-star with her actual composition getting nerfed. But I like their approach. They're just chipping away at this comp slightly in a bunch of different spots, but nothing crazy. I'm down with this. I think Zyra will still be good next patch. Okay, Ao Shin is getting nerfed. He's getting buffed at 3-star, Poggy Woggy, but nerfed at 2-star by a little bit. I think that's probably fine. I don't know. I didn't think Ao Shin was too oppressive this patch, but if you do get it online, I don't know. I feel like if you have 5 dragons and you have a 2-star Ao Shin, 2-star Shyvana, I think you should just win. But maybe this is fine. I'm not too sure. He was probably already overkilling anyways. Now this is a buff. So they got the coloring wrong. This is actually a buff. It went 350 to 370, 575 to 600. I'm actually pretty surprised with this buff because I actually think Asol is. I think when you actually get Asol's build online, I think he's the best dragon. I could be wrong on that, but he has felt very strong to me since his last buff that he got. And this also could just be a byproduct of evokers being very strong in the meta. So like Zyra being strong in the meta. So it's just, I feel like it's just been easier to get him online. And maybe with the Zyra nerfs, this makes him a little bit weaker. So maybe this is fine, but I don't know. I feel like if he actually gets Asol, I feel like if you try to play Asol when you don't have his build, he does feel a lot weaker than Ao Shin. Whereas Ao Shin does feel a little bit more plug and play. But if you actually get Asol online with some huge front line, you got a Zyra 2 cranking out, you know, you got some mystics, you got some big shields. I don't know, man. I think this Asol was good. So I don't think he needed to be buffed personally. Definitely. Yeah, I don't think he needed. So yeah, I'll be playing some Asol next patch for sure. Okay, binary airdrop. So on Shyvana, Jace, and Jax will no longer receive backliner items. Kind of hilarious that Jax was receiving them. I can understand with Jace and Shyvana because they do deal a lot of damage, but that's hilarious. Okay, Dragonmancer Conference can now only appear on 2-1. Very cool, good quality of life change. And then Scoped Weapons 1 will give you additional attack speed. I think that's a pretty good buff. Scoped Weapons 1 is hard to use. Okay, bug fixes. Now, if you have ever watched a patch rundown, then I will tell you, bug fixes are very important to read. Sometimes they're more important than the balance changes themselves. So let's get into them. Okay, Kai'Sa's name has been fixed from Kai'Sa to Kai'Sa in all instances. Okay, Hecarim's Rage Bar now properly displays in increments of 15. This is just a visual change so that you can more properly read it. Astral now properly grants AP in Ghost Armies. It wasn't doing that. That is hilarious. Cool, good change. Jade now properly grants attack speeds and healing in Ghost Armies. Of course it wasn't doing this, but that is fixed. Soul Siphon now properly grants to the topmost trait of the sacrificed unit. Oh, this is just that augment. Very cool. Nunu will no longer attempt to swallow units that are invulnerable. Oh, okay, so he can't eat. Oh, okay, so he won't try to eat Edge of Nights, so that's actually a nerf to Edge of Night. But I do think Nunu is just not going to be a comp anymore. And also, will he not eat people with Zoe ult on them anymore, with Zoe K ult? Because that shit is really annoying. Okay, Nunu will no longer occasionally fail to cast his ability if he has +1 attack range. Very cool. So if you want to do the RFC Nunu tech, but again, I think Nunu's build is pretty dead now. Cannoneers, cannon shots will now benefit from Celestial Blessing Omnivamp. Very cool. Rakan will no longer taunt units for longer periods, causing melee units to follow him. Very good. I have noticed this bug a few times. Zaya's feathers will now properly recall if she gets stealth by Edge of Night. This is a bug that a lot of people complain about. If you basically never built Edge of Night on Zaya, it's not a super good item on her anyways. But if you ever did build it, it wasn't nerf. Like you were flipping a coin every time she cast, you know. All right, the Sunken Treasure mission. I had a lot of people in my Discord complaining about this. Now progresses properly. A later mission will compensate for the lost XP. Yeah, some people in my Discord complained about that. It was a bug the whole time. Age of Dragons tooltip has been shortened and will now fit. We don't know what it says, but it'll fit better in the tooltip, I think is all it says. So now you'll be able to read the Age of Dragons tooltip, and it won't be all scrunched up, I guess is what it was before. Okay, so patch prediction. I think whatever you're playing last patch is still going to be good. I think Zaya is going to be much harder to hard force. If you get the high roll fast 9 into dragons, consider playing Aurelion Sol over Aoshin. I already think Aurelion Sol is on par with Aoshin. I just think his build's a little bit more difficult to get online. And then they buffed him. So definitely if you guys have an angle to play A-Sol, I think you should play it next patch. What else? Keep an eye out on Dragonmancer builds. They buff Dragonmancer, they buff Volibear. They nerf Lee Sin, but this is just compensation. So keep an eye out for Dragonmancer builds. I will probably be trying some Dragonmancer builds if I get Dragonmancer Conference, especially next patch. What do we want to else look out? Guys, if you're playing mages before, I think they're still good. So if you guys like playing mages, keep playing mages. Keep an eye out for the Show You build, Show You Jace duo carry, or just Show You builds in general. I think will be good. Sunfire, consider taking Sunfire on next patch. Consider taking Future Sight and Pandora's Bench. It's getting moved down to silver tier. I think that's pretty interesting. Cool. Nothing to talk about there really. Yeah, give Show You a try. Give Swain a try if you're a Dark Fight player. I'm not a big Dark Fight player, so I don't know if these changes are enough to make him meta. But right now you don't buy Swain, so maybe consider buying Swain in the situations where you want to buy Swain. I don't think this is enough to make Siphon meta. I really don't. There would have to be a new build, I think. Because right now, like, the Siphon Zyra build is good, but it's good because of Zyra, and Zyra's getting nerfed. I don't think there's enough compensation to keep that build at the same power level. So maybe there's just a new build, or maybe the meta shifts around. But if there's not a big meta shift or that makes Siphon more viable, I just can't see it. Cool, Jace. So Jace is a lot less face, like, it makes Zyra comp a lot less face roll. I think this will still be. I think this change overall is just opening the door for some more changes, but I think Jace carry with Show You could be pretty good. But other than that, I still think you just run the Jace and the Zyra comp. If you get the Zyra comp online, it should be good. Hecarim will still be good. Nyla is still good, of course. And there's situations that they're good. Nunu, guys, I would drop that. I'm pretty sure this build is dead. I'm almost certain this build is dead. And Zeri, guys, give Zeri. Be looking out for some Zeri builds. I'm sure people will find some tech, but the build that I like to play when I play Zeri is if you get Triforce Augment and playing the Triforce build where you play like Zeri, Seraphine, Rakan, Zachary, you know, you play like Guardians, and you can play Namzi because Namzi is a 3 cost. If Namzi is an Evoker, if Namzi is a Cannoneer, you can play Namzi in either of those spots. So keep an eye on for that build. And then the Seraphine build, I think it's going to be good in the high roll situations, but I don't think it's super good to hard force anymore. But if you really like hard forcing it, maybe give it a try. Zyra, I think Zyra's build is dead. Zyra's still going to be a good unit, but I think like building an entire composition around Zyra will not really be a playstyle next patch. Gnar, just nice little buff there. If you guys really want to try some like hyphy tech, maybe try Gnar reroll, but I don't think it's going to be good. But I think that just helps Jade line a lot. Keep an eye out when you have this angle to do this, because this is designed to be like you get this in and you 2-star most of your dragons, you should win. So keep an eye on for that win condition. Yeah, we already talked about Dragonmancer. That's pretty much it, isn't it? That is it. Anyways, that is going to be it for the videos, guys. I appreciate all of you. I am a lot more excited about this patch than the current patch we're on. I don't think the current patch is too bad, but yeah. But anyways, this patch is supposed to be the last of the big reworks. Doesn't mean big balance changes, but like big reworks to units like Jace and all that good stuff. It's supposed to be the last of those, and the rest of the patches of the set are supposed to just be balance maintenance for the rest of it. Because I can already tell. You know, it's this time of year. It's already 1 month into the last, you know, the last half of the set. The devs' minds are definitely on the next set, definitely on tackling the harder problems there. So this is why they wanted to get all of the big changes in on this one, and then the rest of it can just be maintenance is what the goal is. So we'll see how that goes. Anyways, that's gonna be it for me, guys. I appreciate you watching the video. If you like the video, please like the video, comment below. It does help me out in the YouTube algorithm, and I do read most of my comments, and I reply to most questions if they're, you know, worth responding to. But other than that, follow me on Twitch. I stream there. Follow me anywhere else that you want to follow me. I'll have links down below. But I appreciate you guys. Hope you have a fantastic day, fantastic night, wherever you are. Hope you're doing well. See ya. Bye.